head into the Ringerverse to stay up to date with all things superheroes and nerd culture entertainment. Hosted by a rotating lineup of superfans at The Ringer, including Mallory Rubin and Van Lathan, shows will provide instant reactions to blockbuster releases, insightful backstories on canon, and mind-bending theories, as well as fresh takes on the latest news and rumors. Check out The Ringerverse on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements. So many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code VISIBLE24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. Welcome to Bachelor Party. I'm Juliet Litman. It's the B-side. I am joined today by friend of the Ringer, friend of this podcast, but really just a friend of the entire network, Miss Mina Kimes. Mina, welcome to the pod. How are you?
I'm good. I didn't know you call it the B-side. It made me smile a little because I couldn't calling Susie Hannah B-side. Because
oh my God, yes. Looks so much like her.
That's my private nickname. I always have private nicknames for the contestants, most of which I probably shouldn't say in public. But that one I thought was pretty nails.
She looks so much like Hannah B. We were talking about that, Callie and I.
Can I throw something out? Does she look too much like Hannah B to be the Bachelorette? Because it seems to be a clear front runner.
That's exactly what Callie said.
I should have listened. I'm sorry. Because otherwise she's got it all. She's got the backstory. She's got the charisma. I don't think I'm not spoiled, but I don't think she's going to win. We can talk about that. But she looks exactly like a recent Bachelorette. Seems like a problem.
I want to take it a little bit further. I want to say Hannah B is the B-side. Susie's much prettier than Hannah B. I'm sorry.
Oh.
It's true.
She's like Hannah B plus.
Mean. I'm mean, yeah.
They're both beautiful, but
they are both pretty. I mean, they're both objectively very pretty women. So
yes, yeah,
goes without saying, I guess. But I mean, it's just want to say it's late. It's the end of the day for me, and I get so. I've been staring into my computer. I've been on a Zoom more or less for the last 8 hours. And I'm so sick of looking at myself and my computer that I just feel like I might say anything on this podcast. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm just I'm tired and loopy. So it's just anything goes.
You're like a contestant in an ITM.
Yeah,
exactly. I'll be the producer trying to manipulate you to say some wild shit. Can't wait.
I've been deprived of normal human interaction for the whole day. So I'm just anything goes. Susie, yes, she looks a lot like Hannah B. The organ failure story was really sad, but I also have questions. Did he have COVID? What did you think was wrong?
I was wondering that myself, and I was wondering if I don't want to speculate on someone's illness, and I'm probably going to get to
ADHD.
Shanae, the worst person on the show right now, and who didn't just speculate, broadcast it. But I did wonder because it was vague, and also I feel like it might be one of those things where the show thinks, people have been so bummed out by COVID. Let's give them some escapism and not say the word COVID. Yeah. And also it's a divisive topic now because some people don't want to acknowledge it exists. And I don't know. It was a little bit weird.
It was super weird. It was a good date, though. We don't need to rehash this either, but I will say one thing that we've been discussing a lot around these Ringer parts is how disgusting it is to go swimming in Marina Del Rey. And it's And we talked about that on Monday. And then I think the next day there was like an alert sent out to people who live in Marina Del Rey. Like if you like have the app to be like, don't go in the water. Like it's so dirty. So how did you feel about the return to the Bachelor Mansion? Was that emotional for you?
The legendary Bachelor Mansion, I think in the words of Susie herself. Not a lot of emotions. I was surprised by how much more, actually not surprised. I enjoy the show being there versus being in a random hotel. It does feel more escapist and normal. And, you've got your traditional landmarks and locations. And so I prefer that. And I think it makes for a better show.
Oh, I agree. There's something about this season. Like, I'm curious what you think. I don't love Clayton. I don't hate Clayton. I like him much more than I was expecting. At first I had a crush on him, but I think that's just because for like 10 minutes.
Really?
I just kind of liked his handling of Silly Sally. Like I just felt like the whole Sally thing was so insane. I also like how he gets really visibly mad. And I just sort of like, he just sort of seems like a regular guy. Listen, Mina, I have a real weakness for just like likable athletes. That's just it's why I work in sports. It's like how I got here,
Oh man. Clayton is a vessel for Bachelor insanity. Clayton. I keep calling him Colton.
Me too. I keep calling him Colton as well. But I completely agree with that. And so is like kind of a perfect vessel for right now, where it's just sort of like back to the mansion, back to slightly like wackier women. A lot. Like, I thought this was like a classic episode, like just straight up classic, and punctuated
vintage
by the excellent Ziwe. Like I'm like, oh, we need her every season. She was such a good like foil for the show, basically.
I do wish, being somewhat familiar with her work, she had been given free rein to ask the questions I would actually like to ask and actually make some of these women uncomfortable and Clayton himself. And I think she was a little bit held back. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot. I would say this about Clayton, who I don't find particularly crushable, but to each her own.
I'm embarrassed, but just trying to be honest here.
He seems like a good person. I'll say that. And I think he is a perfect bachelor for the early weeks when it's really not about the bachelor and it's about the fighting. And I think he's great. I do question whether the season will hold my interest later if once we've got like longer dates and and hometowns, just because he is rather vanilla. But right now, as the canvas on which multiple blonde women can paint their sociopathic masterpieces, I am enjoying it. So many blonde women. So many. And they just really look the same. Like it's very hard to tell the difference between, and then they're fighting with each other. So they're like in the same frame. So it's very hard to differentiate them. It's so confusing.
To your point about like, will he be able to sustain our interest? I am optimistic because I think we're going to like watch him unravel. I think that he's like,
we have seen.
Yeah. He seems like a people pleaser, right? And many of the best bachelors are. My number one, Ben Higgins, was a people pleaser as well. And I feel like when the lead, particularly the male leads, really want all of the contestants to like be happy with him, it just turns into an absolute debacle and like such a mess. And like in a good way, like a debacle is what we want. And so I'm hopeful that him having sex with 3 women and falling in love with 3 women is going to lead to a really good like final phase of the season.
I agree. I could see that 100%. I mean, Ben Higgins was he was the first contestant to say "I love you" to multiple people with the
That's
JoJo.
Correct.
Yes. So I feel like pleasers, guys who you actually believe are in love with multiple women and are facilitating those feelings, do tend to make for better seasons than bachelors or bachelorettes who are very decisive and not taking any bullshit, even though I like that in them as humans, not as leads.
Not what you're looking for on the TV show itself. Have you met Jesse Palmer? He's kind of your coworker.
He's my fellow cast member at ESPN.
Yes, you both have the same card to get into Disney World.
I have not met him, just being on the NFL side and him being on the college football side. But I think he's doing a decent job.
I'm a fan. I find something about him, like just like, I don't know. I've said this before, soothing, repeating myself, but I just find something about his presence like great.
He's good at being on TV. So, it's been a little awkward at times the last couple of seasons.
He knows what he's doing. Like, he's very comfortable with it. What's his reputation like around Bristol?
Lovely guy, happily married, as you've heard on the show. They constantly skip over the fact that he didn't meet his wife on The Bachelor. They're like, he keeps saying, and this has been multiple times now, I know this show works. I'm a happily married man. It's like, dog, you kind of skipped a step there.
Yeah, you didn't get married from the show.
Actually, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, no, I think he's a pro, and I think that's why he's good on the show. I will say, in the same way, I mean, I'm not the first person to make this comparison, but the Hannah B side thing throws a little bit of a wrench into Susie potentially being the Bachelorette. When he is next to Colton, I think it's
Clayton.
Clayton. I think it's bad for Clayton because he is like Clayton plus visually and
I agree
charismatically.
But Clayton's taller. So I feel like to Clayton, he's probably like, well, I got that. So everyone comments on Clayton's height. I don't know. It's just what I would do if I were Clayton.
It's a defining characteristic for sure.
Question for you. You travel a lot for work. You're already on TV. Like, you could be Jesse Palmer. I think you could be the host of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. Would you want to be the host? Like, is the schedule of Bachelor host appealing to you as someone who's already has a pretty hectic, demanding schedule from their TV commitments?
Thank you so much for even suggesting it. I think I would be a little too intrusive and have too many opinions. And I think as the host, it's such a small role. And, there's a few moments throughout Bachelor history where they have to kind of step in. But it's so now along those lines, yes, because it's so little work.
So little work, such a great life.
And you're just chilling and everyone likes you.
It might be the COVID talking, but like, I just sort of like don't look forward to being away from home the way that I used to. Like, I'm just sort of like, I've gotten so comfortable at home. I'm like, would I want to be on the road as much as is needed to be the host? It's a lot. And like, I don't know. I just curious, like if Jesse Palmer's like excited about this lifestyle or like missing just being a studio man and, just like that GMA college football life. At least that is like less of a time commitment, believe it or not. This show is now a huge time commitment.
But you have a lot of free time to catch up on reading and watching shows. And
you think that's what Jesse Palmer's doing? Reading and watching like Ozark, preparing for season 4?
Definitely he's reading like DeLillo in his hotel room, just crashing.
He watched Station 11, so he's like, I think I'll watch The Road, see how they compare.
I really want to watch Station 11, but I gotta get The Bachelor's. I haven't, and I love The Leftovers. It's like extremely my shit. That whole everyone involved in that. It's got the girl from *Halt and Catch Fire* who I love. But now that The Bachelor's back, it's such a time suck. Although I will say, I complained when the season started. No break, and then at the end of this episode, when Jesse Palmer said, "I'll see you in 2 weeks," I screamed no.
I know.
Couch, much to the disgust of my husband, who was sitting next to me.
I wonder if Jesse Palmer was watching the national championship game or watching The Bachelor.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't watch. I watched The Bachelor the next day, so I missed it in real time because of.
I have to assume he was watching Georgia, Alabama. So I have to assume.
I think he was. Yeah.
As an SEC man, I mean, he must have been really happy. Anyway, let's talk about this actual episode. I'm like obsessed with Jesse Palmer. I don't know, like every person I talk to, I'm like, what do you think of Jesse? I don't even know why, but it's sort of like having like a new like uncle, or it's like someone's like marrying into your family and you're like, you want to discuss it.
I do want to say, I'm not a Chris Harrison person. I don't think the show has suffered from losing him just as a host. However, having a host again who is, I mean, he's married, but like is like a young, good looking, in this case, I kind of think, like I said, B-side version. It is a little bit like when he walks in, like Chris Harrison kind of could do the dad thing with the young people, whereas Jesse's not old enough to be a dad. He's kind of like the hotter older brother. And it's just a very different vibe, I imagine, in the house.
Also, Chris acted like he owned the mansion. He acted like he was Cupid. He acted like he was like so in control of every aspect of this. Like this was sort of, he was like the maestro. He was the wizard in front of the curtain. Jesse is not going for that vibe. Jesse's like more, I'm just along for the ride like you guys. Yeah. Oh, man. What do you think, brother? Like,
brother. Hey, brother. How you doing?
You don't know me, but I'll let you know who I am. Like, he's doing like way more of like a politician. He's sort of like, but like fake humble. But he also does seem like he's sort of like, I'm just here for the fun. I don't know. There's something winning about it to me, but it's also like such an act. I don't know. I guess like the moral of this podcast so far is that like handsome athletes have a lot of sway over me. They have to do very little because I'm like, yeah, Clayton, I have a crush on him. Jesse, love him.
I just like that he looks like he's read a prompter before or sounds like he doesn't take me out of the show at all, which is
totally. That's exactly it. Yeah, like Caitlin and Tayshia, you were like very aware that you're watching Caitlin and Tayshia try to like find a second career, and that doesn't happen here.
Learn how to,
very good.
No shade, but I guess
I've shaded them. I've made it clear I don't like them as hosts. Nothing about them as people, but it's just as hosts, not my tempo, as they said in the great movie. What was the name of that movie? The drumming movie?
Oh, Whiplash.
Whiplash. Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember it. It's like I said, late in the day. All right. Let's get into these dates. I'm also just curious, like, who you're into. But so the first date was the first group date with Hilary Duff. I asked the listeners if Hilary Duff would really be resonant for 26-year-olds. I was like surprised by how excited Cassidy was. And I resounding yes. A lot of people have been like, yeah, I was like in first grade watching Lizzie McGuire, which then made me feel bad because I was like, very aware of Lizzie McGuire when I was like in high school. And I was like, is that embarrassing for me? Like how should I feel about this? I'm not really sure, but do you care about Hilary Duff?
I watched the first season of Younger. So that's probably the extent of my Hilary Duff exposure. Never watched Lizzie McGuire. I did find it incredibly awkward. I think it was Cassidy who said, you were my first concert and I had a picture with your face on it, right? Which would like Hilary Duff was like, cool. I don't like, when someone says that in a group to you, I mean, she must deal with that a lot or know how to handle it, but it felt kind of awkward to me. But
Cassidy, awkward? What? I'm shocked.
I've got so many takes on her, the double villainy in this episode. But I thought Hilary Duff was great. She clearly is a fan of the show. I believe that she was a fan of the show. They should have had her as a guest host in Paradise. Maybe she wasn't available.
Ooh. Good call. Apparently she's promoting How I Met Your Father, which I didn't know, but that's why she was on, because she was promoting that. So, which is going to be on Hulu. So she's doing like you. She's a cast member, so she's going to Disneyland for free. That's like one of the best parts of working for ESPN is being able to take people to Disneyland, Disney World. They're just like so happy because you save them so much money.
You feel like such a G. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, I can get a discount too. What do you want? But
you want a fast pass? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, like I couldn't get that, but you do feel good. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's like, it's like insane. It's like it's a great perk. Anyway, I hope Hilary Duff got that from her time as part of the Hulu family. What was like your favorite Cassidy moment? I think there's a lot to choose from.
I wish I wrote down the line, but when they all confronted her later at night and she said, I'm not here to hang up streamers, or it's not about how you hang up the streamers. I laughed. I'll just flat out say it. Cassidy doesn't bother me at all.
Wow. I think you're in on Cassidy.
No, not in on her. She clearly sucks, but maybe it was because this was coupled with the Shanae arc, who bothers me extremely. But Cassidy to me reads as a harmless reality TV villain. And that she's clearly annoying and definitely not there for the right reasons. But I have no problem with her as a human being. Like she doesn't her the way she acts, I find maybe irritating in that like she's clearly trying to get attention again on Paradise or whatever, but not hurting anyone. And I think of like Victoria in last season where she was a bully, or Shanae, which we'll get to, where there's like gaslighting and lying and all that shit. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say the word gaslighting. I feel like it's like a banned word right now, but like, or it's constantly misused is what I meant. And I don't want to misuse it. But
it is constantly misused. I don't think you misused it, howeody, but within the Bachelor context, it is often misused.
Yeah, it is often misused. So yeah, but back to Cassidy. fine. She's doing reality TV. That's all. I'm just saying, she didn't bother me. She was kind of just a comical, deliberate acting up for the cameras type villain.
Sure. Let's talk about Shanae, because I think you do need to talk about them in concert. Shanae, would you feel this way about Shanae if she did not share with literally everyone that Elizabeth had ADHD?
No, that was obviously repulsive, but I was really, I turned on her hard before then, because
what was the moment?
So we saw the chain of events, right? Where she clearly is insecure going into this. Maybe Cassidy's feeding into that a little bit. They've got this weird villain alliance.
Cassidy reminded me of very nefarious Cher Horowitz, where Cher would give Ty advice with how to date with Elton and stuff. This is but she meant it. This is the opposite, where Cassidy's giving advice, but it's really bad advice and also really messing with her head. And it was kind of fun to watch.
I'm gonna be like Cassidy, my best gal. I'm gonna be confident and get what I want. Except, clearly is not built to the same stuff. So she comes in and you can see her insecurity building and building, right? And then she pushes her, whatever. And then when what's her name? Elizabeth, the target, pulls Clayton aside first. That's when she unravels. And then all of a sudden, she sees him and she tells that freaking insane story about, Elizabeth was mean to me and this is the red flag because one day we were friends and then the next day she didn't look at me. I really hate it. I hate it when people lie. I hate it when people project their insecurities onto other people. And then I hate it when all of those things are combined, and just witnessing that happen was abhorrent to me. And then when she confronts her,
you're so constitutionally offended. I love it.
Dude, this is my least favorite type of villain. Or I guess, I don't know. It's a characteristic I despise in people generally, which is, creating this alternate reality. And when she confronts Elizabeth, I thought Elizabeth was so nice. If it was me, I would have gone ballistic. But she was like, oh, I have ADHD. I wasn't listening. I'm sorry. Let's get along. And just the way she was twisting it, Shanae, so that Elizabeth was the one to blame. It was bonkers. And she kept saying, she told me she loved me. She didn't. She didn't say that. Juliet, maybe it's the time we're living in. I'm sorry to rant, but I like it. Seeing this happen, I hate it when people create lies and perpetuate them and repeat them. And then clearly in their mind, it's reality. And so that pissed me off so much watching at home. Wow. So Shanae is dead to you. She was dead to me when she did the dance. Let's be honest.
I kind of liked the dance. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm having so many weird takes these days. She was really bad at it. She was particularly bad at the whip portion of the dance. There's no doubt about that. I just thought that she probably provided some levity and some fun for everyone else. So I appreciated that. But I think what really got me was Ziwe seemed so delighted by her attempting to do this dance that I was like, if Ziwe's happy, I'm happy. I just thought Ziwe was fantastic. She was
happy because she knew what was unfolding before her, which was cringe to the max.
Totally. Ziwe should, honestly, she should be on every season and should be a staple of the date. But do you watch Survivor?
I do not.
I think you would love it. You should watch it. It combines a lot of things you like: competition, ties to the NFL, reality TV, maniacs, just a lot of great stuff. Anyway, on Survivor, when people get voted off, they have they do these little featurettes that are on their YouTube channel about what happens to them after they get weighed. They talk about getting voted out. They usually lose a lot of weight, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like there's so much Bachelor material left on the cutting room floor. We've seen it the last 2 weeks. So much has happened that we see in the credit scene or whatever. And I'm just show us the full Ziwe game. Just take it to YouTube. There was more than 4 or 5 questions
the Ziwe
asked.
Cut?
Yes, release the Ziwe cut. I want to know what else she asked. And it seemed like it was fun. I mean, it must have gone on for a long time, right? I also They also should have just been like, we're day drinking. And that's the other thing that I would introduce to some of these dates is like, make that a legit drinking game. Like, let the drinking start early and whatever. It's just, if people want, they don't have to. But I would just, I would love to have like a Bloody Mary while playing Never Have I Ever at 11 a.m. on a random day of the week or whatever. But
for sure.
I really enjoy that. I agree with you. Shanae lying is bad, but I think the ADHD thing was like truly fucked up. It's sort of like outside of the realm of just television. Like that's a fucked up thing to do, like in TV, out of TV. And then she's like, I have ADHD. She's like, what are you talking about? Like
she was making fun of her in her ITMs. It was insane. I mean,
and she was like, kids have ADHD. I mean, she acts like it's, I don't know. It was so rude. And also I did think that, the way Elizabeth delivered that was kind of odd. Like the reason why she was like overwhelmed was like because of the auditory inputs or whatever, but like maybe that's a good explanation. I just think strategically I wouldn't have given my foil, my foe, that kind of info.
I don't think she understood what level of sociopathy she was dealing with at that point. I mean, Juliet, it was so bad that she got a heat check from Cassidy, who was like, damn, my friend's kind of a dick. Or she said jerk, not dick. I wish she had said dick. But that also that kind of made me, again, a little more sympathetic to Cassie because it made me laugh. But like when you lost your only ally in the house because you're being such a jerk, you could see all of the women were like pretty appalled by it. Yeah. And
I feel like Genevieve and Kira and Mara in particular were like just really like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And Kate, who is the realtor, who's my low-key favorite.
Yes.
Right?
Kate's normal. Yeah. That's why we like her. Kate's like someone you would encounter out in the wild. And you'd be like, oh, cool girl. I liked her. She works at the Oppenheim group of Selling Sunset.
Oh, Selling Sunset. I hope she survives a few weeks because she's had a few really funny kind of under the radar lines. Like when they were playing Never Have I Ever. And one of them was, have you sent nude pics? And she said, what about to each other? And she was like, we don't have our phones, so we can't. That made me laugh. By the way, Colton had a yes on the nude pics, which I caught.
Clayton.
Clayton. But she had the line of the episode after the fight, which is, I feel brain dead after that interaction. Never have I seen the experience of watching that show captured so well with a video.
Yeah, Clayton said he did send a nude. Do you think it's a full nude or just a dick pic? Like, I don't know. Clayton, I don't think I know him well enough to weigh in, but
surprise me.
I don't know. I feel like he's 28. It seems pretty standard.
Maybe in my brain, I've just conflated him so much with Colton that I'm like the virgin Clayton, even though he's not.
I could have seen Colton, but I don't know if he's still a virgin. I don't think he is, but I could have seen him sending a nude before that too. It's like a chaste activity. You're separate, so
possible. Yeah, but you're right. We don't know. We know very little about Clayton. Very little.
Totally. Also, I think like none of those were embarrassing except for like, have you ever cheated on someone? Like that I think is like a character, like that's sort of like revealing your character. So the rest of them I was like, who cares one way or the other? That's all. This is all like acceptable to me.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it was real, like Ziwe being Ziwe, I feel like she would have gone in so much harder, and maybe she did, and we're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
But
I know she would have gone it. It would have been great. I would have loved it. Ziwe is like classic pandemic season 1 to me, like just sort of the May, June, July 2020 Ziwe, just sort of like outing people for being assholes. And I thought she was really just fantastic. I was a fan, but now I'm like a really big fan. So I enjoyed it. I totally agree with you on Kate too. Callie knows Kate, or she like met her a few times, so she's cool.
Nice.
I think everyone likes her.
You should have her on your show. I think she'd be really funny.
That's like a great point.
Funny guest. Yeah.
I'm also positive she'll be in Paradise. Like I feel positive she doesn't win, and I bet she'll go to Paradise, and she should. Although I'm surprised that the Selling Sunset staff, who are not on the show, like the Oppenheim Group staff, are allowed to go on other shows. Like I wonder if that will change in the future.
Interesting. Yeah. Like how the Netflix, there's crossover between their reality shows, maybe.
Yeah. And like
Bachelors, usually they don't like that. I feel like on The Bachelor, they want their contestants to be like pure.
Absolutely. Yes. They want them to come to the Bachelor like without too much backstory so they can like determine it themselves, essentially.
Yes.
So This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements. So many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code VISIBLE24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need. Have coverage options to protect the things you value most. File a claim right on the State Farm mobile app and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I feel like I just like always veer away from Cassidy. Like I'm like, I know we should talk more about her, but I'm kind of with you. I don't like really hate her. I'm just sort of like she's playing a part. I will say the combination of Cassidy and Gabby is very funny to me. Like Cassidy is like so like hyper aggressive, just like making out with Clayton, just sort of like climbing on him. Meanwhile, Gabby's like, you know, just trying to put together this quote unquote dollhouse. It's like not a dollhouse.
Genevieve. It was Gabby. Sorry. Genevieve did Gabby. The ugly cake.
Yes. Genevieve did the ugly cake, which then Cassidy dropped.
The kid pushed her.
I know.
Amazing.
Maya's
content.
Birthday cake got ruined, but Gabby, Gabby cracks me up. She just like the way that she talks is just very funny.
She is funny. I hope she sticks around. She makes me laugh a lot. The whole Genevieve cake thing. Yeah, I think I've seen her in the previews. The Genevieve cake thing was funny, not just because the cake was so ugly, but
she took it so seriously.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna impersonate her. But when Cassidy brought it in, it was such a clearly produced moment. In the same way that when Demi brought in the cake in Paradise, remember in Marjorie in the Fire, legendary moment. That was clearly produced, right? Like a producer clearly said, bring this cake and and I think that's the thing about Cassidy where it's funny, but I'm not really enjoying it because it's all just kind of very reality TV. Like she has no chemistry with Clayton.
Yeah.
She's definitely just playing the screen time game. The producers are helping. Unfortunately, looks like her time might be coming to an end soon based on the end of this episode, which we can talk about. Yeah. But, it's just kind of classic cannon fodder, early episode villain stuff. Nothing lasting.
I don't think it's so bad that she's got a hookup waiting for her back home. It's just sort of like playing the law of averages. It's fine. And also like Clayton, if you're so great, she won't need him. She'll ditch him.
She didn't even, if you noticed, I don't know why I'm being like a Cassidy apologist. She seems terrible. I want to be clear.
You don't want to hang out with her, but
I want to hang out with her, but she's not a bad person in the sense she's not harming other people, which is something that that's the most important thing to me on the show. And if you actually watch the clip where she talks about her friends with benefits, she doesn't say we're going to continue. She said he told me he wants to watch it with me. And then you notice that they cut it off there. So I don't think she did anything wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with coming on this show and having a relationship until the moment you go on the show. And I thought, I think it was Sierra who brought it to him. I thought it was a little bit unnecessary, honestly.
Sierra seemed like she got put up to it by a producer because we hadn't heard from Sierra before that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
So
they pointed her right at him. Yeah.
Can't tell you much else about her. It just seemed like it was a good way to get Sierra involved in some drama. Good way to get her some screen time. So, and they were probably like, it's like also like a true Deus Ex Machina because there's like no other connection to Sierra. So you're like, okay, sure. So she's just here to blow up Cassidy's spot, but whatever. I'll take it. That's fine.
Probably shouldn't have said it on camera, Cassidy.
Well, I feel like the beginning of filming must have been like weird because it seems like a lot happened. Like we got Silly Sally going to Clayton's room a few days beforehand. There seems like, Cassidy was still talking to some dude in the hotel. Like, I wonder if there was a lot up in the air, like just because of COVID or something before filming began. Because it seems like it was like a fairly eventful pre-production in some ways. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I still don't quite understand the timeline with Sally.
Silly Sally. I don't know why I call her that. I just like, Sally's not enough. What happened with Sally was so bizarre that like just to call her Sally is not enough.
I texted you when I finally got to watch the premiere, probably one more minute of that Sally interaction and I would have pieced out. But let's be honest, I wouldn't have pieced out.
I love
it.
I
like to think I would have. It was so stupid. But yeah,
even Mina has her limits.
I think everything is a little bit rushed feeling. And I think if there's one thing that I'm a little dubious on so far early in the season, and I don't want to cast judgment, I can't tell if any of them actually like him. And I feel bad because he is nice. And I don't want to sound, like he's clearly many women would be interested in this gigantic, piece
Galoot. He's a big piece of man. Yeah.
Big piece of man. But
he looks like a pile of clay. His name is Clayton and he looks like a pile of clay.
A lot of things have happened that suggest he's not reeling them in, so to speak. No. And when I watch them interact with him, I've not been convinced that any of them are really into him so far, including Susie. Talk about, but I just am not buying it yet. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I can tell he likes two of the women a lot. Teddy, Sarah, I think.
Yeah,
and she might like him.
I think Teddy likes him too. I do. I buy that. Yeah. But there's something about with Teddy. Well, I had Jared Freed on last week, and he's like, "Well, he can't pick Teddy. She's a virgin." Like he doesn't want it to be like not because there's anything wrong with that, but because like it's like a lot of pressure to then be her fiance, I guess. And so it's like
interesting,
which I thought was an interesting point. I hadn't thought of it.
I think if I knew more about him, I'd be able to guess whether to say what I think. Like I don't know. Like with Pilot Pete, we knew he was like super sexual.
Yeah.
So I was never buying that he would end up with Maddie, for example. I don't know enough about Clayton. Now that I know he sends nude pics, maybe.
Yeah, I know. A little frisky. There's not a lot of sexuality on this, which is funny because, or it's like it's not sexuality, a lot of like sexualness, which is funny because we know he's going to sleep with 3 of these women. So I'm kind of like excited. Do you think it's just 2?
Was it? I've been intimate with 2. I don't know. It's his big.
I believe it's
moment.
3.
Is it 3? Okay, well that makes me think
hope so.
Teddy doesn't.
That'll make it more interesting.
I mean, if that's the case, one would think Teddy doesn't make it to the end, but I don't know.
We talked about this too. I'm okay with if Teddy's okay with it, I'm okay with it. Whatever. Just do you, Teddy.
Same. I just don't want to deal with all the agonizing. It's just going to be annoying television.
I know, but she's like, she's like, I've waited for a long time and maybe too long. Like. Actually, what she said is, I made this decision when I was young, maybe too young. And I give her credit for that. I think that's like funny and self-aware.
When I say it, I'm going to be clear. When I'm saying I don't want to see it or hear about it, I don't mean her. Like her,
she's great. Yeah.
Lady, girl, do whatever you want. I'm so tired of virginity being a subject on this show. It's so boring to me. That's why I don't want like a whole.
I agree with you. It is super boring
about virginity. Yeah.
But that's one thing I like about her. It's like she's not like. She's just sort of like, this is what it is. And I'm here and whatever. I like her. Whatever. Good on you, Teddy. But who else? So Sarah and Teddy he's definitely into. It seemed like he liked Susie, but like they just seemed like, how do they fill the time together? Like, what did they talk about? Like, is she into football? Is he into, I don't know. I don't even know what she does. Like I was just like, what did they talk about this whole time?
Yeah. I'm not buying them as a couple. I think she is an interesting person, not just because she lived in Japan, but just kind of, although I did a little dive into her Instagram and she is serious about jujitsu. So props to Susie. I think that's a cool hobby, but
I agree. Yeah.
she's clearly smart and I think very charismatic on television, and has a lot of energy and is, I would say, extremely polite in a way that might drag out the relationship longer than it should. But I just didn't buy them as a couple. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know what a few women, by the way, have said he's not the type of guy I usually go for.
I know. Well, also, there's been 3 self-eliminations. Like, it's not great.
Yeah,
like,
it's not great. It's not great.
It seems like he's not doing it for a bunch of these women.
But I am just not convinced that they have chemistry or like, I think he has more chemistry with the other 2 women you mentioned than with her. Although I assume she'll go far.
I wonder if there's something about him in person that like just doesn't translate because like, why did they pick him? He seems fine. Like we know why he's sort of generic, fits the bill, but like he doesn't seem to like have this je ne sais quoi that many of these leads do. Even when you don't really get it, you're just sort of like, I don't know. Like there's nothing about Clayton that I'm like, oh, I'd love to dig in more on that. Except that I do like him. Like he seems pleasant. Like I'm not anti. Like he's not like a Brad Womack or a Chris Soules or a Pilot Pete. Like he seems totally delightful. But like that's it. Like would I be happy for him to be making me fudge at Six Flags? Yes. Do I need to be on a one-on-one date with him? No.
Yeah, I think he's kind of lower energy, maybe, or at least it's coming across that way on television. And in that environment where you need a bunch of women, or some of them are convincing themselves that they're in love with you, but generally there's a lot of salesmanship going on. And when you think about it, the very premise, the idea that like all 30 women would be drawn to one guy is insane. And one woman blew up the concept on the first episode and was immediately shunned because it was such a defiance of that logic. But it's not logic. It's like cult thinking. It's like, okay, wait, no, we're all in this cult together. And, the Kool-Aid, you're drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. And the Kool-Aid in this case is a, gigantic white man who doesn't say a lot. But I do think, like, I agree with you. Like, he seems nice. Every now and then he has a few off lines that there's a bit of self-deprecation, which I like enjoy. That. Yeah. And I think it's real too. I think like, he is fully aware. I don't think this dude has ever been the guy in the room or despite his size. And I think he's great. I just don't think he is, I keep using the word charismatic, but I just don't think he has like a lot of charisma. And I think that's potentially why some of these women aren't immediately drawn to him.
I do feel like his life will be better because he's in the Bachelor world. I do feel like that. I mean, some people I feel like that makes their lives worse. And I'm like, this probably was a bad idea for you. I feel like for Clayton, it's like, this is a positive. This is like rerouting what could have been. I'm like, good for you, man. This was a good move. Also, he just seems like so low key that I feel like he hopefully won't be traumatized in any way. Hopefully none of the women will either. But I do feel like sometimes people are like messed up by this experience. I feel like he can handle it. I feel like he's got a good head on his shoulders. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. No,
I'm like giving
I agree,
him so much I feel like I'm just giving him so much credit and I don't know why.
The one thing I would say, it makes for excellent television viewing, but he has not handled the drama well thus far, or the advances of, women who want to be on television or whatever, which again makes for a good season per our earlier discussion. But I could see people judging him for that, for being Clay, for being manipulated. But we'll see how long. It's so early, right? I mean, I'll be honest, like I hope, even though I have been, like I just said, how much I dislike Shanae, I hope we saw her in the preview for next week, but I like the show more when there are villains that last for a while that the lead is actually into. I think those tend to be the better seasons. So I would like her to stay.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Who else do you like? I feel like who else are you like? I want more of them on my TV. Anyone in particular? I do feel like we're getting a good mix of girls so far, of women.
I agree. Yeah, I like the one. I just call her girl too. I like the one from Germany who didn't go on a date, but was really chill about it. I think she's really cute and kind of bubbly and fun. And I don't know. I just kind of get good. Eliza, I think her name is.
Yes, Eliza. Like yeah, she had a good attitude about it. She did the scrapbook thing. I like her as well. She made the most of her time. Everyone who's like, I just feel like growing up in America is like fine. Anyone who like gets to live somewhere else is just like very cool.
I'm generally just impressed by anyone who isn't who
you can
doesn't
distinguish from
fall-
other women. Like
that helps.
Who's not Elizabeth,
Yeah.
Shanae, or Cassidy?
I would say also just like, not getting a date on week 1 is rough. And for someone to be chill about it tells me that they're probably a pretty confident person. So I think that, granted, maybe she wasn't chill and we just weren't showing her freaking out because they want us to like, I don't know, but it's, who knows? But I remember one of the other girls who didn't get a date freaked out. She's like, I love my cat for this. And sort of the contrast was telling, I thought. So I like her. I like Kate. I like
woman's
Sarah.
name was Jill. By the way, Jill, I had like high hopes for Jill because she was an architectural historian.
And
I was like, that's so cool. But then I didn't find out.
Yeah. No, Jill's not gonna last long. But so we like Kate. And then I like Sarah, the extremely young wealth management advisor who quit her job.
She probably is like works in a wealth management division. I'll just say I don't believe that she's actually doing that, but that's okay.
Nah,
that's great. Get your career going, Sarah.
She's a junior analyst at a big bank, probably, but she quit, right? So, but yeah, she seems likable. I actually do think she likes him. I don't know, just in their brief interactions, I'm guessing she probably gets a one-on-one date pretty soon. I can't remember what they showed in the preview.
One of Sarah's fun facts is that she loves cute, tiny dogs. And I feel like there's been a lot of like Clayton loves dogs too. So I wonder if that's like foreshadowing of some kind. Do you love cute, tiny dogs, Mina?
Yeah, and like Sarah, I'm half Asian, so I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm rooting for her solely because of that.
It's a good reason.
We got another one too, NC. I think NC is the other half Asian one.
Half Asian, half Persian. She's cool.
I did get a good vibe from Rachel the pilot in this episode. I enjoyed when the helicopter was flying over and she was like, they were taking a low approach and using like pilot words. I don't know. I tend to like anyone with like a actual I don't want to say that, but like, it's cool. She's a pilot. It's interesting. She has a career. She seems pretty confident too. So we'll see. She's definitely a front runner.
I think so too.
We'll see how that one plays out.
I kind of think Rachel or Sarah win. I just feel like those two, I could see them also being the final two. Because like we're getting enough of them early on. Also, Rachel getting the old Bachelor entrance, I feel like is a good sign for her too, because they like they really care about the old Bachelor. I've heard that's
Senior
Bachelor, excuse
me. But then they didn't like promote it in the thing. It was very confusing.
It was super weird, but I still liked it. I'm like, yes, Senior Bachelor, let's do it.
I'll watch it. Yeah,
no, I definitely will. Definitely will. In general, it's a good group of women, I think. I don't know. It just feels like, let's just go with it. 2 weeks off. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand.
Did they say why?
Monday. I didn't check the listings, but
we have a wild card game. Check it out on ESPN Plus. We're doing a mega cast, the NFL Live crew. So maybe that has to do with it.
On Monday?
I don't know if there's Monday night. It's part of the super wild card weekend.
Right.
Maybe that's why.
Game. Yeah, that might be why.
I don't know if they're simulcasting on ABC, but yeah, I listen. I was not excited about this season. I was not excited about the pick of Bachelor, but like I said, I screamed no when he said it would be 2 weeks, and I find myself drawn into the petty shenanigans.
Shanae. I'll never think of that song the same way again. It's like forever ruined.
The worst. She is the worst, and thus I want her to stay on the show as long as possible.
And on that note, Erika Cervantes, thank you so much for producing this episode. Check out Mina on ESPN really every day. Plus the Mina Kimes show. That's her podcast. And check out the ESPN Plus simulcast on Monday night. Because
what else are you going to do, guys? There's no Bachelor. We got Rams Cardinals or Cardinals Rams.
Oh, nice. Yeah, cool. Good one.
About that. Yeah.
Who's your pick to win the Super Bowl?
By the way, Rams, I got Packers Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs. Little Bachelor tea. So I'd call Rams preseason, and the Rams backup running back who played in the preseason games, he tore both of his ACLs in college.
He's horrible.
Anyways, he is dating Hannah Ann. Yeah, Hannah Ann.
Really?
Jake Funk. According to the internet. Yeah. According to Bachelor Reddit, which is, I love.
Of course. Yeah. It's a great source of info. Wow. Okay, Hannah Ann. Good for you. Yeah. Sydney from, I think, Peter's season. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's engaged to a 49er.
Well, she's engaged to Fred Warner, who's like a superstar. So not exactly comparable. No offense, but like you and I joke about how all the football players in Bachelor World are mostly fake. Sydney's fiance is one of the best players in the NFL. That's
amazing.
Very funny.
I'm happy for her. I liked her, so that's great news.
Oh,
great stuff. Mina, thank you so much for joining me. This is really fun. Callie and I will still be back on Monday. We'll probably talk about the reality TV and talk to you soon.